I'm Jonathan Dormish with Entertainment Weekly, and I am so excited to be here with the cast and executive producer of Jessica Jones. Thank you all for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
If you wouldn't mind going down the line, introducing yourself and the character you're playing.
I'm Krysten Ritter, and I'm playing Jessica Jones.
Heard of her, I believe.
I'm Rachel Taylor, and I am playing Trish Walker.
I'm Melissa Rosenberg, and I'm the writer, executive producer.
I'm Carrie-Anne Moss, and I play Jerry Hogarth.
I'm Mike Coulter, and I'm playing Luke Cage, her boy toy. I mean, that's not her boy. You know what I mean.
Which one?
That's the official name on the casting sheet.
The dots, you know.
Well, Krysten, I want to start with you because I started reading Jessica Jones when they first announced the show, and I've loved getting into that world. But for those who may not know Jessica, do you want to give us a little rundown of who she is?
Yeah, so Jessica Jones is a retired superhero. She tried that. It didn't go very well. And now she is living in Hell's Kitchen and just trying to make a buck so she can buy whiskey.
It's a good way to live life, I think. And so where do we meet her first in the show? Where does the show introduce us to Jessica?
Well, that's exactly where we meet her. Yeah.
Okay. And so, well, and so what really drew you to the character? I think it's obviously in the comic book, there's a very complex character that's drawn out. You learn more about her as it goes on. But what drew you initially to the role?
You know, when I first got this audition, you know, they were like, oh, this is blah, blah, blah. It's a superhero. I'm like, okay, I'll go. I'm never going to get it. Look at me. I'm never going to play a superhero. And it wasn't until I had access to more of the material where I realized, like, this is, like, unlike any other superhero that we've seen. Mm-hmm. She is really rough around the edges. She is traumatized. She is tough. She is strong, yet vulnerable, also funny. So it was a really dynamic, really tour de force kind of part that I'd never seen anything like it. Nothing I had access to or didn't have access to, really. So for me, the part is everything. And then on top of that, you're a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is not too shabby,
No,
and also having an amazing female showrunner. It's kind of a cherry gig, you know what I mean?
And Melissa, I do want to talk about that. What drew you to wanting to build out this world with Jessica Jones? Because obviously there is that great source material. How did you and the other writers sort of approach adapting it, but also putting your own spin on the character?
Well, Brian Michael Bendis provided us with this incredible source material, and so it was our honor to get to play in that world. And you know, the comic book and the TV show are built out in, you know, that's our platform. That's what we're our jumping off place. And then we're building out the television show has its own world and life. And what drew me to the character was she's just, really, Krysten, you just said it all. She's this incredibly complex, damaged character. Defined by who she is, not necessarily her gender, but is informed by her gender, certainly her stories. But she is just simply an interesting character.
And what does being on Netflix? Obviously, Daredevil sort of set a tempo for the Netflix Marvel shows, but you will have, of course, your own unique approach. What did you learn from the Daredevil process? How far in were they when you started, and what did you want to bring to the show yourself on that platform?
They were, they'd already released by the time we.
By the time you.
Oh no, they didn't. I don't honestly. It's been so long and such a lot of work that I'm dazed. The Daredevil, you know, they've got the whole ball rolling. They, brought a huge audience to Netflix, and hopefully that audience will stay with us onto Jessica Jones. They proved that you can do. A really complex, interesting superhero character on cable, on television, and do it well.
And Mike, obviously you're going to be playing Luke Cage, who will have his own show after Jessica Jones. I think it's been announced.
Guys, can we edit that? Can we edit that part out?
Well, so I'm curious, how is it being a part of this initial series, knowing that you'll have that future to explore the character? How is it sort of having a test run almost?
It was just, it was a pleasure. I mean, it really was something that's like, if any actor is starting a role and you go, hey, would you like a few episodes just to warm up before you start your own show? You go, sure, like a few more, because then you get to establish the character. And while I'm playing a supporting character in the series, it helps because it defines who I am, and it gets me involved, and I get to work out my POV and understand like how I function in the world of New York City and Hell's Kitchen. And then, of course, I'll change and go in another location. But I mean, it was really a big benefit. I didn't think about it when I got the job. I was like, this is great. I can have this warm up. This is great.
And so how has it been exploring that dynamic? Obviously, you'll have to build out the character for your own show, but also that dynamic with Krysten and Jessica. How is it?
Well, oddly enough, like, I mean, you guys have seen the first episodes, right? Right?
We've seen a little bit.
Yeah. So listen, you know, I run a bar, so it's not like, you know, it's not like an accident. I met her. You know, she came in. You know, so you know, it's one of those things where all good beginnings start in a bar. It's great because I feel like our characters are such opposites. I mean, and visually, the way we keep our places, how we see the world, but those opposites kind of attract in a way, and it, you know, makes for a great cinematic couple. And I just think it's something unique, and our backgrounds, we'll explore more, but you'll see how different we are. But it's just great because, you know, when Krysten and I reread, we started reading earlier, and I met her, and I felt when I told her, I said, I walked in the room, I said, I saw the room, and I was like, that's her. And I didn't know, I didn't have an idea in my head who it was going to be, but then I was like, yeah, her. It was like she walked up to the comic book page. It's like, this is her. I just knew. It was very striking, very real. And then we read together, and it seemed to be a good fit. And then it just kept going. So it's good.
I felt the same way when I saw Mike Coulter. I was like, obviously that guy's getting the part. I mean, look at him. He looks like the comic book. I can't think of anybody better cast.
I am intimidated, understandably.
Oh, sweet.
Luke Cage
I also
is
love that
pretty
he's so big because he makes me look like a normal-sized human.
and by comparison, I look even smaller, so that's always fun. But Carrie, I do want to touch on your character as well. The sort of what's been released so far, we've known very little about the character. What can you tease about her relationship with Jessica and what we'll see from you?
Well, they definitely have a tumultuous relationship, or just you know, they're not friends, but they need each other. So they come to each other in these scenes, and there's a lot of back and forth and bad flirtation at times in life, you know, like they're funny together and can't stand each other. So it's interesting. And I wanted to say something about the scripts, though, because the show, I think the thing that really blew me away the most when I read the first script, and every episode, there's a point in every episode, in every script that I read, where I literally couldn't believe what was happening. And that just very rarely happens for me in a script that I don't see it coming. And the writers, you know, Melissa and her group of incredibly talented writers, really, the quality of the writing is incredible. And so we're just so, you know, there's so many components to making a great show, and it really does start on the page. And it's amazing. And then with this one here, and literally we had a screen test, you know, the first time you get all in your costumes. And the minute she got in that outfit, and I didn't know her at all, I was like, there she is. It was incredible to see that just happen in front of your eyes like that. So it's exciting.
Well, and so especially, obviously, Jessica has very important relationships with the cast here, as well as supporting cast who's not with us today. But also, can you speak a little bit about the relationship between Trish and Jessica? Both of you?
It's by far the most complex and interesting and special friendship between two women that I've seen in a movie or television. We are there for each other in ways and support each other in ways that we don't see. But we're never talking about like a dude or an outfit. Mm-hmm. It's just like a really like pure bond. And
we do have great outfits.
And we do also have great outfits.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I just suddenly realized that Krysten and Melissa inhabit a very similar space creatively, which is they're both just so kind of fearlessly and unapologetically themselves in terms of their vision for what this show is and what this character is. And those two components were what really drew me to this project and to the part. And I think, you know, the relationship between Jessica and Trish is just so wonderful, damaged, complicated, loyal. There's shades of jealousy in there. There's so many honest, human, relatable little iterations of this relationship as the show kind of progresses. So it was just kind of a pleasure to play something that I've never seen in a script between two girlfriends. It just doesn't fit into the traditional kind of patriarchal form of what girlfriends are supposed to be like together. It's just, you know, it's fresh.
Well, it all sounds so exciting as a fan of the comics and just a fan of the Marvel Universe itself to see all of this come to life. Melissa, it obviously sounds like you have a few fans already with you on the cast.
I'm blessed by these folks.
What can you tease sort of as a whole of what you want Jessica Jones this season to accomplish with the character and this whole cast?
You know, the series is in some ways about Jessica Jones redemption, not in a spiritual, religious way, but in a very interpersonal way. And this season is about the beginning of that sort of internal healing. It is a very long process, and her way of going about making things right is often really a bad idea. So there's a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and it's really a lot of twists and turns. And,
well, exciting to see it all play out. Jessica Jones airs on Netflix later this year.
November 20th.
Oh, actual date.
I can't believe we gave you a date. You don't want to use it?
I hear
November
vague dates.
20th.
November 20th.
November 20th.
At 12:01 a.m.
Pacific time, I believe.
As soon as the clock strikes.
Yes, Pacific time. So I have to wait up till 3:01. I'll manage. But thank you all so much
for having
for
us.
coming. Really
Thank
appreciate it.
Thank you.